tournament season is upon us now in the state. In this hour, we talk with Patrick O'Connell about the Kentucky NASP state tournament. Roy Grimes with the National Archery in the Schools program talks about national and world events. And Mike Barron with the High School Athletic Association looks forward to their first state championship. Next on Kentucky Afield Radio.
Kentucky's Nature and Wildlife Fund. You see it as a contribution option when you prepare your state tax return. But you also see it as songbirds and wildflowers. You can see it in clear flowing streams. Sometimes it's so secluded you may never see it at all. But if you only see it on your PC as you prepare your taxes, that's good too. Google it and see the difference this fund makes. Kentucky's Nature and Wildlife Fund, the natural tax shelter.
When I'm 15, I'm going to be prom queen. When I'm 15, I'm going to have my own limo and private jet.
15 is a good year. Just ask Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. To honor our 15th anniversary of elk hunting, the new Pick 4 option doubles your chance to take home a trophy.
When I'm 15, I'm going elk hunting.
The Kentucky Elk Draw. Is 2015 your lucky number? Get your elk permit and dream big.
sw.ky.gov.
You are listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Baglin. Our show is all about archery and the 11,000 kids in 550 Kentucky schools who are taking part in it. Today we're going to talk to the Kentucky High School Athletic Association as well as to the Kentucky Archery in the Schools coordinator, Patrick O'Connell. And a little later in the show, Roy Grimes, who is the president of the whole shooting match. The National Archery in the Schools program will be along to chat about what kids are doing on a national and world level. On the phone with me right now from his office in Lexington, Assistant Commissioner Mike Barron with the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and it's time for your very first ever standalone high school tournament. How do you feel?
A little nervous. I'm very grateful for the support, though, that we have from Patrick O'Connell and Kentucky NASP. They've been behind us getting this sport up and running as a high school event, and now they're going to be assisting us in adding more opportunities for these kids to shoot, because they will not only shoot in the NASP region and state, but now they can also shoot in the KHSA region and state.
I was thinking back when this all got started. I think it was 2002, and Kentucky Archery in the Schools program had been in some conversations with the High School Athletic Association. It wasn't picked up right away. In fact, it was like 10 or 11 years later that actually happened. But with that came this amazing record of safety. That had to be appealing.
And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the schools finally adopted this as a sanctioned sport, is that they came to the realization that it could be done in a safe manner.
A friend of mine said, how do you keep all these kids from just shooting themselves? But the same reason little leaguers don't take baseball bats and go over and hit each other. I mean, it was just sort of a
right.
silly statement, but kids are good, and they want to do it well. They don't want to get hurt. And I've been a part of this for quite a while myself, and I've never seen anybody take an arrow and use it for anything other than what it was intended.
Correct. Having been hosting with Kentucky NASP for a couple of years, the tournaments, I've just been amazed at the sheer number of archers that can be brought into one venue. And yet everybody is comfortable, everybody is safe. It's just a great sporting event.
The High School Athletic Association is the NCAA of high school, right?
Each state has an athletic association, and they all belong to the National Federation of High Schools. There are actually 51 associations if you count the District of Columbia. So each state has a governing body that runs theirs. Ours, we're close to celebrating our 100th anniversary in the next couple of years, and we have 288 member schools, and we do, by the Kentucky Department of Education appointing us, we do act as the agent to govern the athletics. One of the reasons we call it a sport activity is that the National Federation does not yet recognize it as a national sport, so they do not have a national rule book. With that said, I tend to use Patrick O'Connell as my rules interpreter because we have adopted the NASP playing rules.
Yeah.
Now, we modify those just like we do with tennis. We do not have a national tennis rule book, so we use the USTA rule book and we modify it. So we have taken the NASP rule book and we modify it. When it comes to actual interpretations, if somebody contacts my office, if it's not a rule that I have modified, then I would, again, ask for assistance from Patrick, and he could give me some history behind what has been done in the past, and then I can make my interpretation from that.
So if we have kids going to the High School Athletic Association tournament, they're going to be following the same rules as they would in the Kentucky State NASP tournament. What differences are there?
Generally speaking, yes, they would. We're still going to have the same scoring ends at 10 meters and 15 meters, the same number of shots, the same methodology, same bows, same arrows, and so forth. What they may see differently is things, for example, how many archers score for a team, whether or not we're a co-ed sport, but we don't necessarily mandate that you have to have X amount of people representing a particular gender. So there's some slight variations, but if they were to walk in and watch the shooting, they would not see a difference between what we do and what Kentucky NASP does, no.
What year did you all assume this under your wing?
This is our third year.
What benefit does the High School Athletic Association bring to a sport activity that may not be there for, say, your typical club-level event or after-school program?
The student now that, say, is on the bass fishing team or the bowling team or the archery team, since it is a sanctioned high school championship, tends to feel that they are now validated as a high school athlete and therefore have the same quote-unquote rights and privileges of any other student athlete, meaning that they are a part of those types of activities, and it's not just a club to be dismissed, that it actually is a sanctioned activity.
The archery championship this spring, what date is that?
April 23rd.
You expect how many kids?
Roughly 400 shooters. We'll start shooting around 8:30 and hopefully have the award and be able to get people on the road back home by 4 o'clock.
This is in Lexington, you told me.
Yes, sir, at the Kentucky Basketball Academy.
Will this move around city to city across the state?
That would be up to the Board of Control. The Board of Control will set the venues, and we right now are, since it's our very first one, we found a location that hosts NASP tournaments through the year that felt that they could host ours. And going forward from that, we may have somebody from another part of the state make a bid to the board saying we would like to host it here in, Bowling Green, Paducah, Pikeville.
Well, you have the ear of archers and the ear of archery fans. Any word that you really are going to want to get out?
Well, I want to make sure that we are still partnered with NASP, that we're not in competition. And I think sometimes whenever somebody sees a partnership for an event break up and have a standalone event, they immediately think, well, there's something wrong here. They're going to force the kids to choose. And no, we're not. We want to give more opportunities, actually. And we are committed to helping each other's program grow.
The Kentucky High School Athletic Association, that's sort of a mouthful, but you all have come up with some catchphrases that have stood the test of time and are used around the nation. Now, which one it is? I've written 3 of these down, Commissioner. You tell me which belongs actually to your organization. Is it Sweet 16, Final Four, or March Madness?
Sweet 16 is actually trademarked by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and you'll find other high-profile athletic events tend to borrow that from us.
If you see something trademarked, like even NASP, NASP is trademarked, you can't just be using that. That's not generic. And Sweet 16, although it sounds simple, you own that, and that's been trademarked.
Oh, yeah. There's
Final Four, weren't you?
It has the Final Four. That is trademarked by one of the northern state associations. I believe it might be Minnesota or Michigan.
Sweet 16 is pretty sweet. Well, very good luck to you in your tournament come April, and success and many to come.
Great. Thank you.
Mike Barron, Assistant Commissioner with the Kentucky High School Athletic Association. Just ahead, Patrick O'Connell will join us to talk about the other Kentucky schools involved. Stay with us. My name is Charlie Baglin, and you are listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. Back on Kentucky Afield Radio, my name is Charlie Baglin, and on our show is NASP Archery. NASP meaning the National Archery in the Schools program. Chances are a kid near you, if not your own child, is involved with their school team if they're in grades 4 through 12. It's archery tournament time in Kentucky. No one knows that better than my next guest, archery coordinator of the state, Patrick O'Connell. You got the state championship in March, High School Athletic Association in April, the Nationals in May, regionals just wrapping up.
Yeah, we finished up the regionals. We had over 11,000 kids signed up for our regionals for the first time. Last year we hit 10,000. This year we hit 11,000 kids. Very, very successful. Some of the best scores we've ever seen in the state. And now we're moving on to the state tournament. We've filtered down from 11,000 kids to somewhere around 4,200 now.
The very best score can be 300. Are you now seeing more scores approaching 300?
The highest score I've seen so far in one of our state qualifying tournaments this year is a 299, and I've seen a couple 298s at this point, so which is best of the best.
So 11,000 kids in regionals, and you've whittled it down to 4,200. So that's the group that will be going on to the state tournament.
Right, and then hopefully the vast majority or all of them will be moving on to the national tournament in May, and then a large portion of them heading to Nashville in late July to shoot at the World Tournament.
My wife is a teacher, and she has said, and I'm sure other schools out and about there have said, I've heard of this archery stuff. What is the first step for somebody to say, I want to get in on this?
The first step is actually to get buy-in from your school principal. You need to, without the school buy-in, we don't get very far down the path. Once the school is interested in starting archery, it's a two-step process. The first, they have to get trained, and the second step is to purchase the equipment. The training is pretty easy. We have a website. You can go out to NASP BAI.org and sign up for a class. We offer classes all around the state all year long. And the second is to purchase the kit, which is about $3,000. And for a brand new school, Kentucky NASP offers a $500 discount off that purchase price, so you can get started for about $2,500.
So coming up with the $2,500 might be a hurdle for some smaller schools.
We have two large barriers in archery. The first barrier is the cost of the kit to get started, and the second is actually trying to get gym time. There's so many other sports and activities that need that gym, so finding the place to practice. There are other organizations, National Wild Turkey Federation, if you have a local chapter, it's a great place to try to find funding from them. The Rotary Club, I've met with a couple of those clubs right now, and they are very responsive to this program because they see the numbers of kids that it can help. That's
one thing I had suggested, finding a sponsor. Let's say you find a sponsor, or you find in the school budget, so you got this $2,500. What does that buy you? That buys you what we define as a standard NASP kit, which is 12 bows. Typically, it's 10 right-handed and 2 left-handed because of the percentage of the kids that are right and left eye dominant in the program. It gets you 5 targets, 120 arrows, a bow rack, a safety net, a repair kit, and I believe that's everything. Am I missing anything, Charlie? Paper targets? No, these are like the great big block-style square targets that the kids can shoot thousands of arrows into. And that setup will allow 10 kids to shoot at one time. When's a good time to get started? When would the season, quote-unquote, begin for archery? At the start of the school year?
For most of the programs, they will start practicing sometime in September or early October. If you're a brand new program, you need to get out ahead of that game because you have to recruit for your team. I would actually be looking to be getting folks trained in the spring probably if I wanted to start that fall.
Do you need assistance, or can one coach do it all?
One coach can do it all, but it's always better to have more than one. Most of the successful programs probably average about a 4-to-1 ratio of, one coach for every 4 kids.
You got to have some good eyes on there. You can't just turn your back. And that's part of what this BAI part of the web address you gave, Basic Archery Instructor.
That's exactly right. It stands for a basic archery instructor. We offer like I said before, we offer the classes all around the state, different times of the year. It's a 6 to 8 hour class. It goes all the way from how to set up the range, how to determine the safe way to shoot, avoiding entrances to the building, all the way to coaching techniques, actually how to shoot the bow, and we spend a lot of time actually shooting the bow in that class. So you walk away from there ready to take the kids on.
This is not a John Calipari coming in and doing the dribble drive. NASP is taught one way around the globe. Are there variations on that one way?
There are. We have a very scripted class. There are certain topics that you have to cover, but within that topic, just like everything else, people have their own teaching styles, and that's the way they'll teach it the way they feel the most comfortable.
There's going to be a time commitment.
The average team practices twice a week, and they practice for about an hour and a half in each session. So about 3 hours a week is what an average coach can plan on coaching on the range time. Obviously, there's more time spent on the background working on other stuff, and if you attend tournaments on the weekends and that kind of thing. But on a weekly basis, in practice, about 3 hours.
Does a school, just as if it were a basketball team or a football team, need to come up with a roster of games like every Friday night, or how's that work?
The National Office for the National Archery in the Schools program have a website called nasptournaments.org, and anybody who wants to host a tournament posts it out there. The coaches go out there and look to see the tournaments they want to participate in, and they sign up right there. And then once the tournament's over, all the results get pushed back out there, and all the parents and anybody else who wants to can go look at their results and how their teams and their individuals did. If I had a coach that wanted to shoot every single weekend for 12 weeks, they just go out there and find the tournament they want to compete in each week that still has spots open. Some of these tournaments fill up in the matter of minutes. That there's so many kids wanting to shoot now and so many teams wanting to participate. But if the coach wants to look for a tournament every single Saturday for all season long, they can typically find one if they want to travel to them. The only tournaments that you really must compete in is the regional tournament. We have 14 regional archery tournaments, and it's based on what county you're in. And then from there, you move to the state tournament, and then to the national, and then to the world, if that's the path you want to follow.
So the state tournament is coming up. When is that?
It is March the 11th and 12th at the Convention Center in downtown Louisville.
That's a tournament that I would suggest that anybody, anywhere, who likes archery or is a teacher and thinking, maybe I want to do this at my school, for superintendents, for principals. You want to see some smiles on kids' faces, camaraderie. Come out and take a look at this. So there's a lot of hurdles to jump. But let's say you do all that. What benefit is the teacher, is the school going to see once kids get involved in archery?
Attendance is one thing you wouldn't believe. Is on archery days, more kids come to school. And it's pretty simple. It's just fun. Behavior's improved, and 40% of the kids asked, now we're talking kids here, they said their grades have improved since they started doing NASP. It's not the teachers saying they're doing better. The kids themselves are attributing archery to better grades.
Good for them. So you said the very first thing to do is get buy-in from your school principal. Then the second thing would be to call you, I'm going to guess. At what point do they call you?
Actually, if you want help getting buy-in at your school, they can call me. My email address is patrick.o'connell at ky.gov, and I've got information on those statistics that I can send you that you can use if you want to present this program to your school to get started. And when the principals actually see this program and understand it, they see the benefits. So I can see it in every single school in Kentucky.
Patrick, Don O'Connell, is Kentucky NASP still growing or has it leveled off?
This program is starting its 13th year this year, and it amazes me how many new programs we're still adding. As of our last survey, we were at 550 active programs in the state. That's 550 different schools, and I can almost confidently tell you that when we report again in April, we'll go over 600. We've added that many more. Our regional tournaments, we mentioned earlier, 11,000 kids. Last year it was 10,000. The year before that it was 8,700. So that's our growth in the after-school portion of the program too. The in-school portion, last year we reported 110,000 kids got archery in school during the school day because of this program.
Not bad for a program that started back in 2002 at 24 schools. Now you're at 550. Is there like a reasonable goal? What percentage of the schools have you reached?
Based on the last information I got from the Kentucky Department of Education, there's 1,500 public and private schools in Kentucky. I want 1,500 programs.
Yeah.
I believe in this program enough, and I see the benefits. And when the principals actually see this program and understand it, they see the benefits. So I can see it in every single school in Kentucky.
Patrick O'Connell, the regional coordinator for the Kentucky Archery in the Schools program. Just ahead, our fishing report, we will catch up with the National Archery in the Schools program on the national and world level. President Roy Grimes, my guest. This is Charlie Baglin. Stay with us. This is Kentucky Afield Radio. Baglin back on Kentucky Afield Radio. A couple of websites you might want to jot down. fw.ky.gov. That's where you can find out more about the Kentucky Archery in the Schools program. And on the national and world scene, NASP, that's NASP, NASPschools.org. We're back with the president of the whole shooting match, Roy Grimes.
When I'm 15, I'm going to be prom queen. When I'm 15, I'm going to have my own limo and private jet.
15 is a good year. Just ask Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. To honor our 15th anniversary of elk hunting, the new Pick 4 option doubles your chance to take home a trophy.
When I'm 15, I'm going elk hunting.
The Kentucky Elk Draw. Is 2015 your lucky number? Get your elk permit and dream big.
fw.ky.gov.
Kentucky's Nature and Wildlife Fund. You see it as a contribution option when you prepare your state tax return. But you also see it as songbirds and wildflowers. You can see it in clear flowing streams. Sometimes it's so secluded you may never see it at all. But if you only see it on your PC as you prepare your taxes, that's good too. Google it and see the difference this fund makes. Kentucky's Nature and Wildlife Fund, the natural tax shelter.
You're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio, and my name is Charlie Baglin. If you've had your fill of basketball, looking for something different, you're still a sports nut, want to try something new, here's something you should attend. Attend an archery tournament. Try this one. Try May. That's the largest archery tournament in the world, and it's held in Louisville at the Kentucky Expo Center. 11,500 kids. It's that Friday and Saturday before Mother's Day. And the man in charge is my next guest, Roy Grimes, president of the National Archery in the Schools program. Roy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Charlie. Thank you.
You know, we hear the word NASP, we hear your name pop up, and we, being the radio audience, around tournament time, state tournament maybe, or for sure the national tournament, the world championship. But what all do you do during the rest of the year that keeps the president of NASP busy?
So that most of the time, and this is there is no downtime for NASP. And there are what we typically do is we answer an awful lot of questions by email and phone. A lot of those questions are to individuals, teachers or principals in schools. A lot of parents call, and how can I get my child into the program, or how can I get my school in? We get calls from people in other countries, like Spain this year called us not too long ago. Brazil, contact Argentina. Those are the kinds of calls we get, and we explain to them how they can get NASP started in their countries. We also are always working on venues for future events. The larger they get, the further in advance we have to schedule. In fact, we're scheduled all the way through 2019 for the Nationals to continue in Louisville. And we're scheduling, for example, in 2018, the All-Star Tournament will be in Alberta, Canada. So we're always looking ahead and trying to investigate that we may have 8 or 9 venues on our list at a time that we're investigating to see if they will work. We do 4 events, Charlie, you know. We do a national tournament, a world tournament, an all-star championship, and we do an annual coordinator conference where all the coordinators come together from the various states, provinces, and countries. And for 3 days, we share information and ideas. And I have to say that an awful lot of time these days seems to be spent talking to potential vendors, people who call us, and they've learned about NASP, and they've got some gizmo or gadget, and some of those gizmos and gadgets are fantastic things. And, of course, they would love for NASP to endorse them or pick them up and recommend them to schools. Most of those ideas we appreciate and thank them for thinking of us, but we pass on the opportunity because we want to keep NASP as simple as it started. And if we add things like that, then we start making it inaccessible to kids in schools that don't have access to all kinds of different equipment or accessories, that kind of thing.
NASP is now a bandwagon, it sounds like. So folks are wanting to jump on and ride your success and maybe have success with their products along the way.
I'd like to think that most of them, when they call us, they're seeing that they may have a way that they can serve the kids, help us serve the children, the student archers even better. I'm sure that none of them are planning to lose money doing that. So they come at it most of the time with the right attitude. Usually what I find, though, when somebody comes to us with an idea, the first thing we have to do is explain to them what we do and how we do it. Because once they understand that, then they say, okay, I see why my thing won't quite work for you guys this way. So really, that's the first thing people have to get is an understanding of what we do. And I think people are surprised, Charlie, at how strict our protocols are, how precise our equipment choices have been, and why we've made those. So we have to explain all that to folks to help them understand why they're going to say no.
You mentioned it a moment ago. Kids is your focus, not profit, not the growing of the archery industry. It's the betterment of the children, of the student archers. Elaborate on that.
The program started, as you know, because of the conservation deficit. We were concerned about the future of fish and wildlife management in this state, here in Kentucky. And we felt if we could get kids more interested in shooting sports, and that would be the next generation that would take care of wildlife conservation like their ancestors did, the ones who started all this conservation in North America. And education said we want to help the kids be more excited about school so they will do better and stay in longer. That's how it all started. And what we found out is a huge side benefit of the program, and it's actually become the major benefit of the program, is the kids themselves. They prosper in NASP, and the archery part causes them to blossom in all parts of their life, and those are stories that excite us the most. So whenever we try to think, we've sort of adopted a philosophy of one of our board members, Deputy Commissioner of Education, Tommy Floyd, here in Kentucky. When an idea or proposal comes across our desk or our phone lines, computer, whatever, we think first of what will be the impact on the child, the student archer, before we jump into a decision or not.
Yeah, kids first. I remember Tommy saying once, if it's good for kids, I'm all about it. So that's good. I like having that as your focus. You and I have had interviews numerous times in the show. But today, so far, you've mentioned a few words that I haven't heard before. One is Brazil. Another is Spain. Sounds like NASP is growing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're growing as a program in terms of participation in number of schools, 9% a year. That's slower than it was in the beginning. Of course, in the beginning, we were adding 15 or 20 states a year. Now there aren't that many to add. And when I say we're growing, it's the state and provincial coordinators that are growing the program. We do what we can to provide support, answer questions, and in some cases we can round up equipment grants and other things to help make recruitment of new schools easier for the coordinators. But we've always heard through the years, we've always been hearing from people in other countries and places that want to get into NASP, and they generally hear about it from their other archery interests. They may be involved in world archery or even Olympic style archery in their country, and many archers, adult archers, have a passion for making sure that their sport, the beloved sport of archery, continues, and they know that getting youth involved is the way to do that. And so when they start thinking about, well, what can we do for youth archery, and it doesn't take you long if you start Googling or searching for youth archery, that NASP pops up. And then they contact us, and that's great, because why reinvent the wheel if the wheel is nearly perfectly round now because of the success that we've had in this program.
10 countries, all the states except for 2 or 3.
Vermont, Rhode Island, and Delaware are still not in the program. Delaware is the closest to coming into the program. In fact, we're hoping that will happen before the next school year begins. In fact, we've made some offers to Delaware to help them get started a little differently than we've done in some other states. As long as they are sincerely interested, we're willing to work with them. Connecticut will start its first state tournament this year. They've been in the program a few years. They were the 46th state to join the program. They haven't had a state tournament yet, and it's been about 4 years since they joined, so they'll have one this year.
You have newcomers to NASP that haven't yet appeared at a world tournament. They include England, Mongolia, and where else?
Let's see, Australia has never sent any children over, so those are the 3 of the 10 countries. And actually in Africa, Botswana hasn't sent any teams yet, and Zimbabwe haven't sent any archers yet to the world tournament. So there are 4 of the 10 countries that haven't sent archers yet. Some of them are planning to send archers to the world tournament in Nashville this summer.
Tell me what those dates are.
Yeah, our annual world tournament will begin on Thursday, July 23rd at the Music City Center in Nashville, and it will conclude late afternoon on Saturday, the 25th. So 23rd to the 25th to the World Tournament. That'll be it'll probably be the largest we've ever had because it's in Nashville, but that'll be in the vicinity of 3,000 to 3,500 students will come to that. And we already know South Africa, Namibia, Canada, and the U.S. will be there. New Zealand is also looking at coming, so we could end up with five of our countries at that tournament this year. Immediately following that on Sunday, on the 26th, the all-star teams from the countries that have come will be staying over, and they will begin match competition. These are 16-person all-star teams. For example, the U.S. All-Star team will be determined at our national event in Louisville just a couple of months prior. And so then on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we will begin a round-robin double elimination bracket-style competition between the countries.
The word world comes up a lot with NASP because you have set many world records for the archery tournament, but the record's been broken. And
yeah, I read that.
You got to hand it to World Archery Asia for an outstanding show-up for a tournament they had. When was that? In October? 13,000 and change?
Yeah, I think it was 13,102, but who's counting?
Right, yeah.
Right. And then what I heard about it, we're looking into it, actually. Holding the Guinness World Record was cool, and we were willing to do it. It was great for the kids to be part of that, and we broke it a couple of times. And now, apparently, it belongs to the Philippines, which, like you said, great for them. We are looking into the event. I'm curious, what kind of event it was. You know that we set the record with a very, very formal, strictly managed and controlled tournament with all of our kids. I'm not sure, and the Guinness folks were very, very particular about how we did it, looking at all of our records and making sure that the kids were the people, the number registered were actually there, and they checked random scorecards and said, show me that kid. So they're very, very careful when someone breaks a record. So we're not 100% sure that the exact record we set is the one that's been broken. But if it is, that's great, and it will be ours again in 2 more years.
Well, good luck to you.
Right.
Records were meant to be broken.
Oh, yeah, and what I love about it, I wish every country would try to break their youth archery participation record. What a great thing that would be for an awful lot of kids.
The music is playing, Roy, but still more to talk about in our final few. Please stay with us, and you too. My name is Charlie Baglin, and you're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. You're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. We're back with our final few. I'm Charlie Baglin, and my guest this half hour, Roy Grimes, president of the National Archery in the Schools program. And one thing I like about you, Mr. Grimes, is that when you do something, or when NASP does something, it's backed up with statistics. You don't mind a bit to get out there and ask students and coaches, hey, what do you think about this? And last year you asked, what do you want to do beyond NASP? 61%, you said, wanted additional challenges. That's when you involved the International Bow Hunting Organization, IBO we call that, introducing the NASP IBO 3D Challenge, 3D target archery. How did that go over, and are we going to be seeing any more of that this year?
Oh, yeah. We were very, very pleased with how the 3D Challenge came together. We are our first real event. We did a couple of test tournaments, small ones, but the first serious tournament was last year at our Nationals, and we had 2,004 kids participate, which is just a little bit less than 500 from the world record for the largest 3D tournament in terms of participation. And we will certainly destroy that record this year at Nationals. We'll have 19 end-to-end 6-target 3D ranges, and we'll have capacity for just over 5,000 students to join in that competition. We've changed the 3D a little bit because of our experience the first year. We always pay careful attention to how it goes and look for ways to improve what we've done. And we decided instead of 5 targets like we shot last year on each range, 6 arrows at 5 targets to give us 30, we're going to go to 6 targets. So the kids will keep shooting 5 arrows just like they did on the bullseye. So we've added a coyote to the mix.
And, of course, if you want to participate in the IBO 3D Challenge, you have to also be in the bullseye tournament.
Yes, for now. This year we will continue that rule that you must be registered and for the bullseye tournament in order to register for the 3D. We may change that in the future, especially if we max it out this year. We may open that up a little bit so that if a school wants to bring 30 kids to the tournament, but we can only have 24 shooting the bullseye, those excess children might be able to register for 3D. But that's something that we'll decide this summer if we're going to relax that a little bit. Having a 3D event in conjunction with or at some other time. For example, South Carolina had the 3D tournament in their state last weekend ahead of their bullseye tournament. We're seeing lots of schools order target sets. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to head to Tennessee after this interview and go down to the annual turkey convention because the Nashville area schools are going to be competing in the 3D Challenge there at the turkey convention. Speaking
of South Carolina, I heard rumor that a world event may be headed that way.
Yeah, we are. We haven't signed a contract yet, but we've seen it, and we've made some. We've asked for some changes to the contract, and if those changes are made, and they've assured us they will make them, then we will, probably within 2 weeks, have a signed contract for the 2016 World Tournament to be at the Sports Convention Center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
That sounds like a wonderful time. That's going to be a great draw. You mentioned you had a lot going on at the national tournament, and the IBOs that go beyond the IBO, what else can we look forward to?
Yeah, well, we've been offering Center Shot Ministries, the Archery in the Church program, if you will. We've been offering them for some time the opportunity to use our national range to hold their own national tournament for Center Shot, and they've taken us up on that invitation now and are in the process of registering schools. So Wednesday night, after we've set up, They will have 2 to 4 flights, depending upon how many kids they get. But they're hoping for 1,000 to 2,000 center shot kids. And we're excited for them, but they'll be setting a mark in terms of their first national tournament. So we got the NASP Nationals. That's 11,500 kids. The 3D Challenge, that's maybe 5,000 kids. The Center Shot Ministries, that might be 2,000 kids. And then we've also invited the Olympic Archery in the Schools program that is concentrated in California. We've offered them space to hold a sort of a demonstration tournament. So they're going to set up a small range, about 22 lanes, and they're going to invite the NASP kids who are used to shooting their compound bows to register right there on site and walk over and shoot recurve bows in a competition with Olympic Archery in the Schools. So there'll be an awful lot of bows and arrows going off on that weekend.
Kentucky Kingdom, huge amusement park right there on the state fairgrounds, has been closed. Is it going to be open, do you think, for the national tournament?
It won't be open on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. It's a numbers game for them, I think. But on Saturday the 9th, they will be open, and they're going to offer a special rate to all the NASP participants and their observers and parents and everybody else. We're going to get that information out to everybody so they can be prepared to spend some time at Kentucky Kingdom on Saturday.
You got IBO, you got Center Shot, the Olympics, the regular tournament, and Kentucky Kingdom on top of that. It's going to be a great tournament. It's probably going to be one of your best ever.
Yeah, I think it will. There is one big thing that I'd like to bring up. At the 2014 June board meeting of the National Archery in the Schools program, a couple of the board members were very excited about our scholarship program, which you know is $77,000 issued to 10 kids at the national tournament. We decided at the board meeting that we wanted to increase the dollar amount of scholarships awarded through NASP tournaments, and we want to move that level as close to $1 million a year as we could. And so the time to start increasing it is now. So just about 3 weeks ago, we put out an offer to all 47 states and 8 Canadian provinces that if they will put new money, whatever they're doing now, if they will add to it, we will match up to $5,000 per state and province to their scholarships. So obviously, if all of them did that, that'd be 55 times 5,000, and we'd be putting another, I believe that's about close to $300,000, 265 or something like that. And that, plus they'd be matching it, and then some of them already have scholarships. So states are doing that now. Some of them are saying, yeah, we will go from 15 to 20,000, and we'll take your 5,000 and make it 25.
Yeah.
So that's the path we've started this year to grow that scholarship program. So at the end of every tournament season, we can say, okay, not only did a lot of kids have fun, did a lot of arrows got shot, but this many kids got this many thousands of dollars to go to school beyond high school. It puts further emphasis on the academic importance we assign to NASP.
I like that. I like that. It's giving kids a shot at education in more ways than one. Roy Grimes, thanks a million for spending some time with us today.
All right, well, good talking to you, Charlie, okay?
If you would like to hear this program again, it's pretty easily done. You can go to YouTube and just put in Kentucky Afield Radio and also put in the word NASP, N-A-S-P. It should pop right up for you. Please share it on Facebook. Check it out again. Also on iTunes. We are out of time. My name is Charlie Baglin, inviting you to join us in a week, and we will go inside outdoors again right here on Kentucky Afield Radio.